Everyone, welcome today. I'm going to give it a couple minutes, let everybody join the call before we get started. I do have chat up. If you guys can tell me where you're located, love to know where you're calling in from. I'm calling in from Dallas area, North Dallas, kind of Dallas, Addison border. Feel free to drop in the chat. Nice. Canada, South Dallas. Okay. Not too far from Dallas, New Jersey. Nice. Nice. A little bit from everywhere. That's awesome. Dallas. Okay. Nice. Awesome. We'll give it a few more minutes. Have a few more than usual register for these events, so we'll give a little time. So if anybody, probably about another minute or so. What I will say is, if you're first time joining one of our Hug events, welcome. Usually, I do 30 minutes of just kind of walking through some of the features, 30 to 45 minutes, and then I do a Q&A if you guys have questions, things like that. We'd love to answer those while we're on here and get as much value out of this as possible for you guys, and then we'll go from there. If you guys have any specific questions, you should have the Q&A feature. I believe you should be able to see that. You can always drop your questions in there. That way I can try to get to those if they come up during the call. Austin, nice. Yes, so these events are more webinar style, so everybody's on mute except for the presenter, the host. I understand. Whenever I see the little mute button on the bottom, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be talking. So usually they auto mute when you come in if it shows it, but hopefully that's the case. Awesome. Well, I'll start introducing myself. I'm Michael Wilson, founder of Processology here based out of Dallas, Texas. I lead the DFW Hug. Been doing so now, and I want to say probably about a year now, around that time. A little bit about me, have about 15 years of operational experience. Typically digital operations, process improvement, HubSpot implementation, those types of things. Just had a little girl, 8 weeks old, today, exactly. So super exciting new journey. I am natural problem solver at heart. So love solving problems, love seeing new challenges, especially with HubSpot. I think it's a fun platform to be able to build and improve in. So we are certified HubSpot partners as well. We support industries like SaaS, service-based nonprofits, and public sectors in terms of the clients that we typically work with around process and technology improvement, obviously including HubSpot. Today, we are going to be covering a few different things, talking a little bit about Customer Agent. Thanks on the congratulations. We're going to be talking about Customer Agent. How many of you have actually played with Customer Agent or know what it is or don't know what it is? Love for you to drop in the chat just so I kind of can get a feel for what tools you guys are familiar with and not familiar with. Okay, build an agent via Zapier now. Okay. Not familiar. Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. So it seems like a lot of not familiar. So this will be pretty cool to kind of see what Customer Agent is, what it does, and how it works. We'll also go through Remix tools. So if you're on marketing team or anything like that, that's always a really exciting tool in terms of scaling content. Um, we did one of these events on AI before. There's been a lot of advancements, which is mainly what this event is about, is what are the updates and what new features are there. If you're on sales teams, we'll talk about prospecting agent as well, which essentially does prospecting, research, things like that, write emails automatically for you. We'll talk about AI and workflows, record summaries, deal insights, as well as some of the asset creation AI that is currently out there as well. I'll be working in my demo portal, so we have full access to most things. A lot of things will be in beta, so if you don't see them in your portal, you may have to opt into the betas, which I'll show how to do that as well today, so that you can take advantage of some of these features. Some of them, sometimes when you opt into a beta, it's not an instant thing. So some features we don't even have in ours. We have in our production account, but maybe not in our demo account. So I'll show what I can show today, but I think it'll be exciting. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this over here so I can just see our topic so I can stay on topic. So we're going to go through the agent first. So essentially what customer agent is, it is what it sounds like. It's an agent that helps you with your customers. So HubSpot built it. It primarily started as a service hub thing to help you answer things like support tickets, respond to emails, those types of things. And it actually does it on its own based on the knowledge and the training that you give it. Now, customer agent has been spread throughout the system. So if you want to use it in sales or in marketing or just answering general questions, you can train it on all of those things. So if you don't have any of this stuff here, and some of these things are still in beta, you can click on your company name at the top in your account, come down to product updates, and this is where you're going to see anything that's new that's happening with HubSpot. If you click on betas, you're going to see all the betas. I recommend clicking on not enrolled, so you can see everything that you currently do not have. As you can see, there's a lot of things in here that you may want to get access to and may not. And you can also just see the general live releases and things as well. So it's a good way to just kind of keep up on what's happening in the software. There are things every single day popping up in here, which is super exciting. So on the customer agent side, what we have is essentially an AI that going to train it and manage it in the sense of giving it things like knowledge. So for example, you can use knowledge-based articles, you can use landing pages, you can use blog posts like that. You also can add different content types. So for example, if you wanted to add other things that you may have in your HubSpot, like multiple blogs, things like that. If you want to add public URLs that it can reference, you can do that as well as upload like files like PDFs that may have information, maybe your brand information or information about your company, so that the AI knows how to answer certain questions. You can also type in a question and then give it an answer. What's really cool about this is your question doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to be something that somebody might type in, right? So it may be something like, what products do you offer? And then you would list those products here. What that does is that when someone is either chatting with you or someone is, if you have the email features on, they are messaging through emails, the AI will actually respond as if it's a real person, responding to the customer relevant information. So just what recently got released, like literally in the last couple of days, is the ability to test your agent, which means that you can go into a conversation with your agent, and I'm going to let this load up for a second, and you can actually ask it questions to see how it works. So for example, like let's just say, what services do you offer? So then it's going to go in thinking, and it's going to try to find information. This is a demo portal, so it may not give us the best answer possible, but it will give us some of that information. And so what it's going to do is it's going to get all the information that we're allowing it to have, and it's going to give back an answer. So in this case, our demo portal is set up to be a little more like a nonprofit portal. And so it is giving us back this bit of information as well as the sources that it got it from. If it's a web page or a homepage, or if it was a file, we can see that here. If we don't love the response that it's giving, you also have an ability to actually improve that response by typing in your question and creating a short answer that will actually help improve how the agent responds to individuals. So you can imagine this for customer service teams. You can imagine this for your general chat on your website, for maybe your sales team or your marketing team. It will be able to answer those questions based on what you're giving it. So you do have a lot of control over this, which is really nice. Under manage, where you're able to manage the knowledge, you can actually say what sources you want to remove and not show, or it cannot reference, and things that it can cite and cannot cite. So that's really nice to be able to use. You can also see assets that it's not referencing just in case you want to go and put some things in there. One of the things that I was super excited to see come was actions. So actions, it's not as I would say as simple as HubSpot usually has things where it can be a little bit more drag and drop, but it is a nice feature in the sense that if you are comfortable programming actions and doing those types of things, you can actually have the AI update data in your CRM record or kick off something to your SaaS software. For example, maybe you wanted to cancel a subscription or something like that. You actually can start to control what it has abilities to do, which is really cool. So it's more than just communication. It can actually start to update your CRM system or update your SaaS softwares, things like that. So or just notify someone in a third-party system, those types of things. So really cool. You can control handoffs. For example, you can control like the messaging that happens when people are not available, things like that, or you're at max capacity. It will respond with these messages, as well as triggers that you can put in here. For example, if somebody says human, let's say as a keyword, meaning they want to speak to a human, you can actually, the AI would automatically transfer them to a live person in order to continue their chat, or it'll collect their email so that you can email them back. So you can select whatever those trigger words are when you want it to hand off to someone else. And then in terms of your channels, this is where you would deploy it to so for example, you can have different workspaces like your inbox, your support, or help desk. And then you can select what those channels are, whether they're like chat or email or any of those types of channels. One thing to note about Customer Agent is that it does use a credit-based system. What that means is that with your account, you will have certain credits that you get depending on which plan that you're on to use. But as you need more credits, it would require to upgrade to higher others. But it's definitely something that it's worth looking at to see if it's something that will solve some of your challenges. The industry is seeing some companies getting 60 to 70% of their inquiries handled through the AI agent as a first response, which has been really cool to see. You also will get a lot of analytics around this, around the conversations that it's solving, the ones that it's handing off, those types of things, so that you can see the reporting on all of that stuff to get insights into what the actual AI agent is doing, which can be really cool. So again, think about this as like the first the first contact on your chat, on your website, and versus having a live person have to monitor it 24/7. Or if you don't have somebody on your team that can monitor it, this would be a good option for that. Support tickets, things that people are asking common information about that you could just have in an article. That's going to help. Product information about how your services work. Sometimes people would rather chat with an agent or something like one of these AI agents versus actually booking a call. So when they're in their research stage, it can actually help them get some of that information that they might need. It also does something with helping you figure out your knowledge gap. So what are people asking for that you may not have articles for, right? You might not even know that these questions are being asked to answer them, if that makes sense. So it will see what are people asking, and it will recommend knowledge-based articles for you to create. Then you can use AI to help create those knowledge-based articles. So super, super cool when it comes to the content agent piece of this. Customer agent piece. So any questions, you guys can drop in the chat. I'll try to take a couple minutes to see if anyone has any questions around the agent piece itself. Or do you see a use case for your organization for something like this? I'm gonna have a couple sips of my coffee. It's decaf, so I'm not going crazy at 1 o'clock Central. So let's see. Could you use this for internal teams and internal documentation? I would probably say you could. I would probably say not to, because it is credit based. Usually what you can do for internal documentation is just create a knowledge base, a second knowledge base, for example, or if you don't need a knowledge base at all, you can make it your first knowledge base. And then I would password protect that knowledge base and then use that for my documentation that they can go and reference and search the knowledge base for answers. And that's going to be something that if you have Service Hub where you have the knowledge base features, that's not going to cost you anything extra. Whereas if you're using the customer agent to answer those questions, you're going to be paying every time they ask a question, because it charges by conversations that the AI handles. It will charge that credit. You can click on the top in your account and you'll see here HubSpot credit to see how many credits that you have available inside of your account. One thing about this, if you haven't migrated, HubSpot's migrating all their customers to the seat-based model in terms of how their pricing and everything works. If you haven't migrated yet, you might not see this. If I know a lot of companies have been migrated, so most likely it's there. Let's see. So it looks like we're getting, does this work for booking a discovery call? Yeah, I would say so. So, I mean, I think that's as simple as inside of your knowledge of you creating a, like a sure in here where you can go and create a short answer that says something like the question is book a call or something like that. And then just put the information with the link to your scheduling page, and then it can do that. So, and it will hand that off in there. So for example, if you were to say, schedule a call, and then let's just say, let me grab a link really quick. So we can actually test it out. I'm going to make it quick. I'm not going to make it fancy, just so that you can see the particular feature. But let's see. So if you were to go and click on create, now we have a short answer that you will see here. And if we were testing our AI, for example, to see what it would say, we could say like schedule call, just for a nativity right now. So, and then it will attempt to get answers and respond to us based on whatever those short answers are. So let's see what it says. So there we go. So it says you can easily schedule a call by visiting this link. And then if I click that link, it actually brings up our scheduling page, which is the one that I set up. So hopefully that answers that question. In terms of can you explore this without credit? So your account, again, if your account's already been moved over to the seat plan, you should have credits that are included in your plan for you to test this out. And then you only need to worry about upgrading that credit plan if you need more than what's allowed. So for example, I believe, I think it's service professional or professional level gets like 3,000, enterprise, I think it's 5,000, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but you will see what your available credits are right now in this area. Let's see every question within the conversation. I'm not understanding that question. Every question within a conversation. If you can clarify a little bit more. Oh, okay, I see. Thanks for doing that. Let's see. Regarding the credits, you mentioned for every question. No. So the way that it will work is every conversation would be a credit. So if you're chatting, for example, like somebody's chatting with your agent and they start that conversation, that it's going to be a credit. And I believe those credits, I want to say they're like 10 credits or something like that. And so it's going to do that for that conversation. And there are some things around, like if that conversation gets opened back up, for example, if it was like a support ticket, it gets opened back up in a certain amount of time, I don't believe it counts as more credits. There's like it might be a 72-hour or something type of threshold for that before it will count it as a new conversation. All right, let's see. Okay, so you see you have 3,000 credits. Yep, so as long as you don't need to go over that, then you can definitely, you'll be good with those credits. Let's see how much knowledge would offer using. I think in terms of 3,000 credits, you're probably going to get something like probably around anywhere between, I don't quote me on this, it's inside of the credits. If you click on it, you should be able to see the details of it. But I believe you're going to get somewhere, I don't know if it's 300 conversations you can get out of that. It's either 30 or 300. I can't remember exactly. But in terms of what you're going to get. Now, when you're testing, this testing piece here does not cost you credits, which is nice. So you can test it to make sure it's going to give the answers you need it to give. That's what I would recommend doing before actually launching anything live on your website and starting conversations, just to make sure that it's accurate as possible. Because just like humans, nobody wants to get wrong information. So you want to make sure that it's able to answer common questions commonly. Let's see. What are all pages associated with FAQs and training. I wouldn't say that it's going to crawl all pages. It's going to crawl whatever you give it to in the knowledge. So when you click on manage, whatever you give it access to. So here's where everything right now, and it says using. So it's using all of these pages. So you have web pages, landing pages, blogs, your short answers. Obviously, you can do the files like I mentioned earlier. that is what it's going to crawl for answers. Anything that's not in here, it's not going to use. So whatever it is that you have to put it in. If you have FAQs on a page, but you're not crawling the entire page, then you would have to do those short answers. If you're crawling the page already, right, you already have the page here and you have the FAQs on it, it will use those FAQ, that knowledge from the FAQ. Hopefully that helps there. And then let's see, it's been a year since I've negotiated a HubSpot contract, and it was pretty basic. Work planning, so credits didn't come up. So everyone is essentially going to be on a credit system with Customer Agent. In terms of that, everyone will be on a seat model for their HubSpot account once they're finished the migration process. For the most part, it's pretty easy to negotiate those contracts. If you work with a partner already, they can usually help negotiate those contracts as well. If not, we can obviously help negotiate those contracts as a partner as well. In terms of if you need to try to get a better deal based on volume. So it depends on volume, depends on term, those types of things in order to see what is possible in terms of contracts. Let's see. Let's see here. Well, I think the idea behind the Customer Agent is most people know that AI is not cheap to run and process. So I think that it's a service that was designed to make sure that everyone can take advantage of the AI solutions. There is a lot of AI that is inside of HubSpot that is included in your plan or included in the plans automatically, which we'll get to some of that today. What I will say is I absolutely think that this is an opportunity, obviously, for additional revenue for the organization, for sure. I think their idea behind it is that if you can not have to hire another person, but still be able to close your tickets and handle your inquiries, it's a lot cheaper than hiring someone, I think, is what their thought process is on that. But, I think it's one of those things, it's not for everybody. And so I think that it's a cool feature when you're looking to either you're a small business that doesn't have the financial capacity to expand, you can utilize AI to help do that. Or you're a big business that's looking to streamline and maybe cut costs. This is an opportunity for you to do that. Awesome. All right, so let's jump away from Customer Agent right now. If there's any other questions, you can definitely drop them in the Q&A or drop them in the chat, and I'll try to get to them as they come up. Next, we're going to talk about the Remix tool. If you haven't seen Remix, is anybody familiar with that tool? You can drop in the chat. If you are, that's going to be under Content Hub if you have it. Awesome. So Remix is all about content at scale. And this is getting more advanced every time they come out with updates on what you can do with it. So let's go ahead and just run through a scenario with this. So give me a second. I'm going to grab our demo website for us really quick. All right, so I'm going to grab our demo website because I'm going to use this as content to inspire this. But if we click on Start Remix, first thing you're going to get here is that you are going to have the opportunity to add content to this remix. And this content is something that is just giving it a source to pull data from. So example, I'm going to add a web page here, but you can pull a blog, you can use a web page, you can use text, you can use video, you can use podcast, audio files, and as well images to inspire the content that's going to get created. So we're going to go ahead today, and I'm just going to use a URL in this case. So let me go ahead and plug that in. Hey, Janelle, nice to see you in the chat. All right, so this is going to pull in my source content. I can add additional source materials if I want. And for this demo, I'm just going to keep this option here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I like to see a little bit more. I'm going to click on the plus sign. What this is going to allow you to do is add different types of content you want to create based off the source content. So for example, let's see, I think I have some social accounts hooked up to this, so we should be able to do a couple social posts. So let's do 3 social posts. Let's also tell it to write 2 emails for us. And then we're going to also have it do, let's do a landing page. So based on that, I would click on next, and I have the ability to give it some instructions. So customized instruction, just to kind of tailor it towards what I want. But for the moment, I'm not going to add any of this just for the sake of time. But I'm going to have it create some images for us as well. And these are some of the features. If you have Content Hub, you should have access to Remix already. If you click on generate, you're going to see that it's going to start to create all this content for us. So we can sit here and watch it. I'm going to give it a second and let it do its thing. So the main value behind this is that you can take a blog post, you can take email, you can take all the types that I showed, whether it's a video that you guys may have done in your organization, and you can build content off of it. So maybe you have a video that you want to build social posts that brings people back to a landing page that they can actually watch that video. You can actually use the video as the inspiration for all the social posts and the landing page that pulls people back to that social. So the call to action will obviously be the landing page that has the video on it and whatever else you might want them to have. So in this case, you're able to create 6 pieces of content in a few minutes versus potentially what normally takes days or weeks and for some months to do. So what we see here now, we have a social post that is getting written with an actual image that's attached to it already for us. We can just open this up and it'll open up in the HubSpot social media tool if you have those tools available. Same thing, here's another post that we have here. And then we have our third post here. As you see, each one of these added hashtags, the information, as well as an AI generated image for us as well. And that's with me giving no context and no additional content. We have a landing page that's being built here. We don't have a landing page that's connected to this right now, so it's not going to be the prettiest thing. But essentially, you would get a landing page with a call to action, and you can see it has some really ugly buttons and things like that. But typically, you would be picking a template that you would want this to build that on to put your content into. And then we're still waiting on our emails to generate, so we'll give that a couple more minutes to see that generate. And then while that's actually doing that, what I do want to show is, let's say that I really like this blog post. This social post, and I like the direction it's going. So I'm going to tell it, hey, you know what? Let's do a couple more follow-up social posts inspired by that piece of content. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and create a blog post as well that's based on that. Again, I'm just going to have it do images, but I'm not going to give it any context in this case. I can control which blog I want it to go to, as well as the length of that blog post. So in this case, let's go ahead and just say a long blog post, and then let's generate that. And you're going to see it's going to generate 3 more pieces of content based on that social media campaign, on that social media post, sorry. So based on all of this, I'm able to, in this case, now we have 9 pieces of content that are being generated by the AI based on our original homepage. And then we can drill down even more as we like the content. You can also, if you don't love it, you can regenerate. You can check these things to edit and do those types of things as well. So for bulk editing, if we pop into into one of these, you'll see that it's putting together the whole email for me in terms of writing on the content, and it's pulling this content from our demo website that we have that is pulling all this into. So I have a really good starting point. Obviously, it's not perfect. I'm going to have to go in here and update, change some things. Maybe I don't like the title in this one, and I can do those things on the fly. But now this just took me a day, if hours to a day of work versus weeks of so. And all that's easy. I'll just demonstrate this really quick. You can also click on that and here, and you're going to be able to regenerate things as well. You can pick different templates. As you'll see here, there's different types of templates in the system that you can choose from if you want it to look different, as you'll see there. And it will utilize those different templates if you want to utilize that. And yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Anybody see themselves being able to use something like this? Do you have any questions around this tool? Love to know your thoughts. And then we can see our blog post there. So we got an image for our blog, and we have all of our content that's written for our blog, and we can easily pop that into the editor. And as you will see happens is it pops into our blog with all of that content laid out for us. And now I can go ahead and publish that blog if I wanted to right now. Absolutely. It's an amazing tool to scale your content for sure. Yes, scheduling your social posts inside of the social tool under Marketing Hub is the best way to do it. If you're using HubSpot and you have access to those features, for sure, being able to do that, edit it in app and do those things, I think is a best way to handle that as well. All right, so I am going to see, let's see, can you feed it specific? SEO words to use. Yeah, so in the things where we were able to give it context, what's generating. Let me do another one really quick. Sorry, here this thing is. There we go. Close that. So if we're going to go here, let's just say we want to do another blog post on this one. You would get an opportunity to put your context. So you would just add whatever you want in there in terms of instructions. So focus on X keyword, and it will focus around that keyword. And what I will say about these things is that these things are getting more and more advanced. Like I'm telling you, like I feel like every week, every 2 weeks, there's a new feature, a new piece of content you can use, a new everything. So it's pretty cool how fast this is moving. So if you're not moving, definitely recommend testing it out. So hopefully that gives you some idea there. I'm going to move on down to prospecting agent if there's no more questions on this. Prospecting agent is what it sounds like. This is going to be more for your sales teams, development teams. Under the sales side, you have an agent called prospecting agent. And what you're able to do is set up agents, let me say that, in some profile. So I have a sample selling profile here that I can give it a name, description. I can have it who it's going to send from. So in this case, it's going to send from myself. I can give it tone or have it match my brand tone. So if I have my brand tone set up in HubSpot, if you guys don't already have that, you can set up a brand tone in HubSpot to make sure your content sounds like you. Set up my languages. I can train this content in terms of my selling information. So as you will see here, we have some sample information on the type of things that we offer and do. So what do you sell? What's your value proposition? So on and so on. What call to actions do you want to have? For example, request contact to book a meeting. So under this, I can tell it which meeting link that I want to use inside of HubSpot, as well as I can attach HubSpot documents. So maybe I have like a one page or white page or something like that I want to link. I can do that and select the document to link. I can also include a URL. Maybe I want to send them to a certain web page or something like that. I can also do that as well. So in here, we have a case study that we have in here that we're sending to. So based on that, I can continue to give guidance. It will write up to 3 emails on your behalf. And you can do how long you want those emails to be. I'm going to keep it at 3 sentences in this case, but just kind of give you guys an idea. Essentially what it will do is that you have a number of ways you can enroll people into this prospecting agent. It could be a workflow. It could be a list. It could be a ton of different ways to get people into this particular prospecting agent. Once you do, though, it will go and actually do research on that contact and on that company. And then it will actually write the emails using the call to actions that you gave it. So you see here is using a case study as well as the meeting link. And it's going to go and write that email for us. And it will actually send that email for us as well based on the schedule. So we don't have to, once we enroll it, it just does its thing. Now, it depends on the option that you pick, and which we'll get to here in a second in terms of how automated it is. But it's a pretty cool feature if you're a sales team and you need to figure out how to scale outreach. This is going to do it pretty effectively, I would say. And then obviously, like any AI, you're going to have to play around with your selling information to make sure you're getting the message you want. But that's where that testing is going to come in so you can make sure that it's writing your messages the way that you would want them to write. In terms of how it's sent, so this is going to be our semi-autonomous way of sending. So essentially what it's going to do is it's going to research the contact. It's going to write 3 emails, and then it's going to ask you to review it before it sends it. So you get your eyes on every single thing before it goes out. Or you can do fully autonomous, where it's going to research, it's going to write the 3 emails, and then it's going to start to send automatically selected contacts. It is going to include a disclaimer, so keep that in mind that it's written by AI with the help of AI. Also, do keep that in mind, but it will just work. Let's see. Is there a way to tell it to write in conversational, concise tones? Yeah, so that's going to be based on your tone, how you set here. So in the brand tone setups, you have a lot of options on getting that tone right. That's where I would recommend working on, is getting the tone right there and then using your brand voice. I think that's the best way to also sound more human as well, versus just kind of doing preset tones like what's up here. In the AI side of when you set up your brand information, it will ask you actually to drop content in. So if you have a blog post that's written in your tone or an email or something like that, you can drop that content in and it will extract what the tone is and set it all up for you, and you can just verify and accept. What if the agent can't find information about the prospect? So I think if the information can't find enough information about a prospect, it's still going to go ahead and try to write an email in most cases, based on still your product information and what you have. Based on that, it's just going to be limited based on industry information. So, for example, one of the things that you will see that this will do is that, and I'm trying to see if this example has one, but when it does its research, it will pull news and things like that as well, in terms of into the conversation. It's going to research contact the company. It's going to research articles they have, blog posts, awards they've gotten, all kinds of things. And it's going to try to use that in the prospecting emails. If it can't, then obviously the emails are going to be a little bit more generic because it's going to mainly focus on your product and their job title and those types of things that you have in the CRM versus what it's finding through research. If you have it on review, then obviously if you don't feel like it's rich enough, then you would just unenroll them and not actually send that particular email. All right, so you can do some multi-language outreach as well, which is nice. Let me see, can it listen or read the calls and notes you put in the CRM about the contact to write the emails? I don't believe that it's going to do that right now. I think this is literally initial outreach. Typically, they're going to be more cold outreach. I'm sure that's something that will come. But in terms of today, if that is something that you want to do, what I would recommend is going into the contact itself and then just using the Copilot, because it understands what records that you're in. And any questions you ask, or if you ask it to write emails, it's going to write it in relation to whatever it is you're referencing inside of the CRM at that time. So I would recommend doing it that route versus probably using the prospect agent. The prospecting agent is really on how do you put your prospecting on autopilot is mainly what this is for. All right, so selling information. So we are able to come up with our selling information in terms of, what do we sell, our position. We can use a web page to analyze this and bring this up. We talked about all of that already. So let me go to our guardrails. This is going to be executing only during business days. What time frames we want our emails to go out? What is our default time zone? As well as what is the frequency we want to send? So the minimum days between emails and the maximum days. And it's going to follow those rules. Then when you get into advanced, this is actually very new, something I actually haven't even got a chance to play with yet, but which is really cool. It's giving it even more advanced instructions on how to handle your emails and how to write those emails. So around specific industries and things like that. So I think these new things are pretty cool. I have not got a chance to really play around with this, so I'm not going to talk too much about this, but definitely would suggest that you go in, check it out, and do a little research on it to see if it will better help you align your emails with what you're trying to do. Let me see. It looks like we have another question here. Do you know what type of information AI agent is going to try to pull? So it is going to look at social. It is going to look at their website, things that are related. It's going to do things like try to pull things like articles that it might find online regarding that particular organization. A lot of times what it is using is the company name in the domain, just like most things in HubSpot when it comes to companies, to try to find information on that organization. I don't believe we have this one all set up in our demo account to do an actual real thing, just because we don't really keep real contacts in here. But I can tell you that it does a pretty extensive job of the research that it's pulling, quite a bit, like pages of it. So, and you do have the ability to actually view the research that it is using to write the actual emails. So, and what's nice about it is not only can you view it, but you can also add that information as a note to the contact. So if it's a contact that you prospected, it did the research, you can click the save to a note, it'll add it on the contact itself, so that if the contact does reply and respond, you do have that information at your fingertips to refer to, which is nice. All right, so the last thing I do want to kind of talk about a little bit is that you do have the ability to create multiple selling profiles. So maybe you're creating a selling profile for different product lines within your organization. So like for us, we do consulting, implementation, those types of things. So we might do one that's just for consulting, or one for our managed services, or one for our advisory work. That way the AI understands the product and service that you're trying to market to someone, and that it's going to land the conversation in the right way, because it's focusing on one product versus a really broad thing. So that's really nice, because you do have some ability to drill that down. And that would be as simple as creating another selling profile within the system. You can do some exclusions as well, like list of people that don't, like contacts you actually don't want to ever go into the prospecting agent. So maybe you have existing clients that you already work with. things like that. You don't ever want them to be enrolled into a prospecting agent. You can add a list of your current customers that won't allow them to go into this prospecting agent. All right, once you have everybody in there, what you're going to see is the number of contacts that you can research per day. This actually has increased because it used to be, I think, 200. Now it's at 1,000. The number that are enrolled, you'll see currently enrolled and highly engaged. So the people that are actually engaging with the emails that are going out, as well as being able to see all the enrollment information here in terms of who's going into this. Let me see if I can see on here. It's not going to do it. So this is the part that I was talking about, though, where you would be able to see the research and how it's going to do it. This is a very short version of what it would normally do. And then you can also add those research notes to the contact itself, which is nice. You also have analyzing where you will get reporting on this as well. So like what is actually, happening in this, right? Total enrollments, total delivered opens, clicks, and books, so that you can see all that. You can automate people being enrolled into this agent, or you can do manual enrollments into the agent. If you use a sales workspace and things like that, this is also a feature in there, as well as target accounts where you can enroll people into the agent, to the prospecting agent as well. All right, let me see here. Let me see. Can you please show where you would find the research part in HubSpot so that I can research how the research is done? Yeah. So once you set up the agent itself, it's going to have all the individuals that are currently enrolled inside of the agent. Like it's going to look like a contact like this. And then you're going to see all the ones that are currently being researched will show up here. Once they are the research is done, you'll be able to review that research, which is going to be here. And just like I showed a second ago in this particular contact, you will see that information here. So once you were to click on a contact that's been enrolled and the research is done, this is where it's going to list and show you the emails that it wrote. So right here where it says view research, you would click that, and then that's what would pop up. And then you can also search this research as well. So maybe you're looking for certain keywords, things like that you want to search for. That's what it's going to show. Let's see. Can you please show where the response comes in for those emails, for those AI emails? So in terms of the responses coming in, so if you saw where I actually connected the email that was going out for that particular agent. So let's go back into this one. And let's look at I believe it's this one. Let me make sure I'm getting to the right area here for you guys. One second, I gotta find out where it was. Here it goes. So under identity, so it depends on how you set this up. So if it's going from contact owners, it's going to use their email when it sends out those messages. And that's going to go, it's literally sending from their inbox. So if the person replies, it's going to be in their inbox. It's also going to be attached to the contact like any other one-to-one email. So the experience is a one-to-one email, just like you were sending it from HubSpot or Gmail or Outlook in itself. The replies are going to go to whoever that person is. In this case, I have it set up as a single user to me, so everything's going to just come to my inbox. But if I had it on a contact owner, it's going to go to my individual sales rep inboxes. Hopefully that makes sense. Is a prospect agent a replacement for sequences? I wouldn't say it's a replacement for sequences. I think that sequences are still a great way because sequences are used for more than just prospecting, right? It can be used for follow-up campaigns. It can be used for onboarding. It can be used for customer support. It can be used for so many different things. And it can also be used for things like prospecting. So for example, I may run somebody through the prospecting agent. They've shown if I go back here, let me go back. I've seen that they've completed the actual process. They've gotten their 3 emails, but maybe they didn't take my call to action, but I can see that they did engage with 1 or 2 of my emails. I might then go and enroll that person into a sequence now that will hopefully try to connect with them even more. So I think sequence is still very much going to be in place and still a valid thing. Actually, the proof in that is that they actually did a lot of advancement with sequences where you can do if-then statements and stuff and conditions inside of sequences now, which is really nice. All right, awesome. Let's see. Will you need to manually enroll leads first? Right? No. So you can view automations, and then these are all the different ways you can automate for people to get enrolled into the agent. For example, they've viewed a certain page, enroll them. They submitted a certain form, enroll them. Lastly, engagement, you can enroll them. But outside of all these, you can turn off all these, right? They go into a certain list, you can enroll them. But outside of all of this, if you would turn all of those off, you can actually use the workflow action. So you can, as action now inside of workflows, where you can tell it to enroll it into the prospecting agent. So is your limit in terms of when somebody would get enrolled based off of workflow, but a lot of options when it comes to that. All right, so I did want to talk a little bit about workflows a little bit. I'm not sure if our demo portal is in here, but let's see if we have it, if we have this feature. If not, I'll just talk to it. But you do a lot of times have the ability to, if you are inside of work, I think our demo portal has it, but essentially you can create workflow actions and things like that from AI as well, just by explaining what it is you're trying to do, and it will help you build it. Now, I will say this, I don't know what type of workflows you guys build, but some workflows are just too complex for that to happen. And it is going to need somebody that can architect that. But in a lot of cases where you're just doing simple type of workflows, like you just need, hey, we're filling out this form and we need an email to go out. A lot of times it will be able to build that workflow for you using AI. I don't have the beta in here for that, but if you go to where I mentioned earlier, down to updates, you can opt into the beta in order to get into the workflow AI. That's a pretty powerful one. Records as well. If you go into, for example, your contacts, most records today will actually show, actually I just saw the contact. Most, if you go into the records inside of the system, we'll have a few different things around AI that you can put into place if you don't already have it. So one of them are going to be in the cards. You can actually, let me just make sure I have it on this one. If so, I will show it. They have a summary. They just switched this out, which is one of the things that is difficult right now. But basically what it does is whenever you go into a deal, a contact, or a company, you can have it actually generate AI summaries for you. And that is going to be an option that you can put onto your records based on if you want it or not. Not everybody wants that to show up. I'm not seeing it in here. That's why I was trying to see if we have, oh, there it is actually. So we can add the brief summary to this. And then that's going to show up there. So like once we like save and go into a contact, what it's going to do is every time you load that contact, so it's right for me, I'm going to just slide this up. Come on. All right, so every time you go into a contact, it's going to give you this new summary and what's gone on, what's happened lately with this particular contact. And then you have the ability to ask it questions about the contact as well. So you can ask questions about what's going on with this contact, and it's going to give you answers. Maybe the last time they visited our website, things like that. As you see here, type a follow-up message, which you can do in here to have a conversation essentially with the co-pilot on this particular record. And that's going to help you collaborate essentially with the AI on your records to understand them. This is very similar in like deals as well. Let me see if I can get into, sorry, this is our demo portal that we usually build for customers and stuff to showcase things. So there's a lot of different objects in here. So here we go. So if I were to go into, let's say, one of these different objects, like deals, for example, you do have the ability to do something very similar in terms of AI, is bring in some of the AI cards that will allow you to understand things that may be happening within your system. So I'm just going to pop into here real quick and let's see if we have the summary. So we have a couple of things. We have this, and we also have the deal summary piece that I'm going to put both of those on there. I'm going to save those so that we can look at them. So inside of here, you'll see we're now getting some deal insights that's giving us things like risk, buyer's goals, things like that. And it's pulling this from like notes. If you have your call, your technology integrated with one of like, you have the grains, there's a ton of these softwares out there that integrate in terms of getting your call recordings into HubSpot. It's going to read that data and it's going to give you what are the risks, like, oh, they rescheduled 3 times. So that's a high risk. What is the likelihood of it closing? It's going to give you all that information. It's going to give you, like you see here, the competitors analysis, tech stacks, all that type of stuff. It also is going to allow me to ask questions. And I'm also going to get a similar summary as well as I got on the contact. So it's going to give you a lot of cool stuff on that. So Oh, let me see. One question. Can you explain how Copilot is different from other AI options? So the difference with Copilot, other AI options don't have the full context of your CRM system. So every data point that you have in your system, all of these properties that are on the record, all the notes, all the contacts that are in the system, HubSpot is able to use that to help you paint a story to understand your prospects, your leads, your customers, and so on. So unlike a chat GBT, unlike all the other softwares that are out there, while you can copy and paste data in, they don't have the full context of your CRM system. So when you're looking at something like Copilot, you are able to ask it a number of questions like summarize a company or deal. You can have it draft a blog post, and not just draft the blog post, but actually create it in your CRM system. Prepare a meeting. So maybe you have a meeting coming up and you need to prepare an agenda for that meeting. It's going to look at everything that's happening in your system and recommend what you should talk about and those types of things. So you can see all these different types of prompts. You can ask things outside of these, but this is giving you some like kind of starters, if that makes sense, on things you can do. You can have it compare deals over time and different things like that. So if you were asking a question like that, it's going to ask you to give it like the time periods of like when you want to compare, like what is a time range, and then it's going to go and analyze for you, and it's going to go find that work and give you an answer. So that's going to be the primary benefit of using something like Copilot. I think there are still cases where you may want to use something like a chat GBT. I can tell you like what we do at our organization, we use them all. So, but what I do love about it is that it does do a really good job of helping you do things like write emails and things like that using context that is actually on a contact. So this is obviously a sample contact, but we can go here and look at this one and we can just say like, write a follow-up email. And hopefully it'll write something nice since it's technically a demo account, but we'll see what it does. So it's pulling in the information here, and then it's going and it's writing an email for me that I can then take and put into my email. Also, similarly, if I'm writing content inside of the system, I can optimize that content using Copilot as well. So hopefully that makes sense. The biggest difference between HubSpot and any other system is that it has the entire power of your data that's in your CRM behind it. All right, so let's see here. I know we're getting close to this couple. We talked about deal insights. The last thing I'll mention is that there are a lot of tools to help you with creating different types of assets. So for example, if you're using marketing, there's AI that will help you create a landing page, help you create a web page, to help you write your blog post. If you haven't experienced on the blog post side yet, one thing that I would say look at, I'm just going to pop in here really quick and click into one of those topics that's in draft, is that we have content in this blog post, for example, and I may want to turn this blog post into similar to a podcast as well. So I can click here and pick one of my voices, and it will generate based on the blog content, and it will narrate the entire blog post. And it's going to do this in a matter of minutes. So now I've just enriched my content by having obviously my images, obviously having audio, and also a read option in here. And so this audio, this, but it will create that. I can apply that to my blog, and then you will see that pop up as my widget there. Well, it should have popped up. Let me see here. There we go. So now I have my widget there, publish this page. People can listen to this blog post on the website. So let's see. So things, but let's get more about within HubSpot itself. Why there's so many various options. Oh, okay, I got it. Understood. I would say that Copilot inside of HubSpot, in terms of the system, is designed to be like a ChatGPT experience. Ask questions, help it write emails. Whereas most of the other AI is very much like role specific. It does one thing really well. It creates a landing page really well. It prospects really well. It solves customer challenges really well, or answer questions really well. And so that is all stuff that is kind of segmented into its own teams and departments, depending on what hubs you have. Whereas the AI just kind of follows you around the system like an assistant, similar to a ChatGPT, but just within HubSpot itself. So Breeze is going to be, let's go and look at Breeze for a second. So Breeze is essentially just HubSpot's AI like suite, I guess you can call it. So it's the agents that I showed. So Breeze assistants, Breeze agents, anything that is AI in HubSpot is technically part of Breeze. So if you scroll down, you will see like customer agent, which we talked about. That is a Breeze piece that's under Breeze. So Breeze is just like an umbrella brand for AI, if that makes sense. Can you have AI talk to each other? I wish you could. No, that would be pretty cool, though. I do think that that's coming, though. I do think that you will be able to have one AI control other AIs. I definitely think that's something that is going to come into the system at some point. So, but great question. I do think we're going there. I think you're starting to see that with, if you saw the like ChatGPT 5 stuff, where instead of having to pick different agents, they have just the 5 that will pick agents kind of under to pick what it needs, whether it's images, videos, and those types of things. I think it's going to be very similar long term for something like HubSpot as well. All right, let's see. The other thing I think I was going to mention here for you guys, and I'm going to leave it at that, is that you do have podcasts that can be generated with AI, things like that as well. Case studies you can generate with AI. AI will help generate all of these things. One of my favorite things that actually came out recently, and it's like probably more of a organization thing. I don't know how you guys feel about organization, but for me, it's a big deal. Is the ability where it's using AI to do things like in your files, it's now writing descriptions and auto tagging things so that you can easily find things. I think that is extremely helpful in terms of understanding what files you're in, especially if you've been using HubSpot for a while and you have a lot of files and you need to find something quickly. The fact that it's able to use AI to look at an image and then decide on how to categorize and explain it is really cool. Let's see how sales tools help with content, help content campaigns. I would say that in terms of if you looked at campaigns lately, we'll pop into those a little bit. I agree with you. I agree with you, but not everybody feels that way. So depending on who's working in your account, it could end up pretty disorganized. So campaigns has definitely been getting a little bit of a refresh. More is coming as well on that. As you'll see, we have summaries in here as well. When you start to look at assets that you can now connect to campaigns, you will notice that you're starting to be able to bring more sales stuff into campaigns. You've always had your kind of marketing things, which makes sense, right? You always have your content, which makes sense. But now you're starting to bring in sales things like calls, meetings, and one-to-one emails, part of a specific campaign that you want to bring into the fold as well. Same with automation sequences and things like that. All of the things that are connected to a specific campaign, whether it's a product line or end of the year launch or mid launch, whatever that might be, whether it's your sales team doing it, your marketing team doing it, you can connect all of that to the same campaign now, which is really nice to be able to get a true representation of how things are performing across. Hopefully that answered the question. All right, I will leave it there. As usual, if you guys ever need help with HubSpot, obviously I would not be a good business owner if I did not give my plug. You guys can always reach out to us where we help teams and technology work together. Scan a QR code, schedule a call with us. If you just want to talk strategy and see what's possible with your HubSpot account and implementing things like AI or whatever it is that you're trying to do with HubSpot, I'm sure we've done it. And if we haven't done it, we would love the challenge. So I thank you guys for joining us on this. And will you be at Inbound? Yeah, I'll be at Inbound. Yes, actually, I'm bringing my wife and my little one to Inbound this year. So we have some nice little Inbound HubSpot shirts and onesies we're gonna be wearing. So we'll definitely be there. So if you're gonna be there, shoot me an email. It's gonna be michael@processology.net. Love to connect with you while I'm out there. Thanks again on the congratulations. And hope everybody has a great day.